and Clinton, Maryland as well. We are starting 1 minute. Pay attention to the, you're going to pay attention to the stream, see who's commenting and all that good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome to the 30-minute hour. It's the weekly podcast where we discuss business, sports, politics, and whatever's on our mind. I'm your host, Eric Twiggs, your procrastination prevention partner. I'm also the author of The Discipline of Now, 12 Practical Principles to Overcome Procrastination. Joining me as always is Ted Fells. He is the business strategist extraordinaire. He's the super CEO and all around good guy.
Good evening, all.
Good evening, all. And
I put on a button-up shirt today.
Oh, you got a button, and you have it buttoned all the way to the top.
To the top. I also ironed the shirt today. Because Audrey was going to be here, so I figured I'd put on an ironed shirt.
Well, thank you for that.
But I thought about putting on a tie, but I said that might have been a little too much. I still got on the sweat stuff.
I love the shirt.
Thank you so much.
It looks great.
It's salmon. I thought I'd put on a little bit of salmon today.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, I missed the salmon shirt memo, apparently. Hopefully Ted and I can better coordinate our memos on shirts here. But no, it's a special occasion. We'll do a full introduction of our guest who's with us right now. Kind of wanted to get into some dialogue first, Ted. The latest episode of The Last Dance came on yesterday. Any thoughts?
Man, it's just that documentary is just something else. I mean, like growing up during that time and just kind of, knowing about Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen and that team, but just kind of getting that behind the scenes and just like, I really forgot how out there Dennis Rodman was back then. Like, I thought that was like, yeah. I mean, just how they had to basically take that personality and make them fit, right? The other thing that was as interesting is everybody thinks about Michael's greatness and they think about the 6 championships, but they don't really talk about what he had to go through to get there. Like how, the Pistons were just always there and he had to get through the Pistons. I just thought that was pretty interesting. And I think people that, some of the younger viewers, I think, can see in that story, like they just probably thought Mike made every shot and won every game. But, he had to go through challenges just like all of us.
Yeah, like I found it interesting of how they would interview like the former Piston players who would say that they can't believe that Michael held up to the beating. They deliberately were fouling him hard and pushing him around, and he just kept coming. Like it didn't deter him at all. He just strengthened his workout routine and just kept coming. And then there's a part where he makes a comment and say, you know what? I want to give out the punishment now. I'm tired of getting hit. I want to give it out.
That's right. The Jordan rules are interesting, right? They were just like, that's part of our plan is just to rough him up. And they said you get him before he takes off. Like before he gets in the air, you bang him up.
Yeah.
That's something.
Yeah, but I mean, that didn't really slow him down. All he needed, once he got help, once the players around him stepped up, there's nothing they could do.
Yeah. Right.
Here's what else is interesting, because I think that like coaching is underrated. Everybody thinks that, Michael Jordan, it was just all about him being great. But if you look at how Phil Jackson handled Dennis Rodman, like I posted on Facebook today, I think that was like brilliant leadership, how he was able to be flexible with Dennis Rodman, but firm with everybody else. And everybody else, they didn't get upset. They didn't say, oh, it's unfair that Dennis gets to do this. And like Dennis Rodman took a vacation in the middle of the season. Yeah. When does that ever happen?
Who does that? Who does that? Yeah.
And the team was just like, okay, yeah, that's fine. That's Dennis. We're going to go over here and do our thing because we know when we need Dennis, he's going to be there. I mean, that's just leadership. And it's really important, that being flexible.
So the funny thing about it is that Michael Jordan said, how long did you give him? He said, we gave him 48 hours. Oh, no, we're going to have to go get him.
He's not coming back.
Right. Yeah, I don't want to mess it up for everyone, but I thought it was a really good documentary, a great series. And I think you could definitely learn a lot about, Michael Jordan, that team, and just life in general.
Absolutely. Yeah. And certainly, like, this is not your everyday podcast. If you want to see the previous episodes, you can go to the 30minutehour.net. If you happen to be watching us live, you can type into the comment section, say hello. You can even, type in questions. We'll make sure we watch the chat and that we get them answered. And, when you go on to 30minutehour.net, you can access your favorite podcasting app so you can listen to the previous episodes. You can also click the YouTube button and actually see us talking as well. So, Ted, I've got something that's on my mind.
Please share, Eric.
We have a special guest here. You're wearing the salmon shirt, so this is a special occasion. So I want to talk about improving your mental health. Improving your mental health. That's what we're going to talk about. That's what's on my mind right now. So I have a fraternity brother, an Omega brother, Ted. His name is Rick.
All right.
And Rick is a pilot. Rick is probably watching us now, but Rick is a pilot. Before he takes off to his destination, he inputs the coordinates into his navigation system. So once the plane takes off, changes in the atmosphere can cause the GPS system that he used to adjust the flight path. So from the time the plane takes off to the time the plane arrives, the path may change several times for different reasons. But he doesn't give up on the destination just because the atmosphere has changed. So the final destination is fixed, but the flight path is flexible. What does that have to do with us? Ted, I know you're wondering what in the world does it have to do with our show today? Good question. All right. So towards the end of 2019, you made some ambitious plans to arrive at a destination, right? Right around New Year's Eve. So you may have had certain fitness, financial, or family-related goals in mind. But then this pandemic has changed the atmosphere. So here's the key to improving your mental health. Again, this is very important. So, if you're watching, if you're on the treadmill, you just need to push the pause button. Just go from the kitchen to the living room and just sit down for a second. This is so critical to improving your mental health. You have to stay fixed on the prize and flexible on the path.
Yes.
That's right. You have to stay fixed on the prize and flexible on the path. Because think about it. You're more likely to feel depressed when you're not flying towards a destination. And I've dealt with seasons where I felt depressed, and that's when I felt hopeless. I feel like, oh man, there's no hope. There's nothing to look forward to. So it helps when you're flying towards a destination. So having a prize to focus on, it gives you the hope and it helps you to feel better. And hope, and just remember, as long as the path is flexible, the destination is still possible. Let me say it again, because this is really relevant to what we're all dealing with now, right?
Sure.
As long as the path is flexible, the destination is still possible.
Yeah, definitely.
For example, to achieve your fitness goal, the path can change from going to the gym to going outside, right? Right. I mean, here's a news flash. Here's a little known fact. The gym may be closed, but outside is always open.
Outside is open.
Outside is open. That's a news flash.
You just got to have a distance between you, though, Eric. You can't be like this outside. You got to spread it out.
Right. As long as you have your mask on and you're 6 feet apart, you're good.
That's right.
So, and Ted, I mean, you and I, we know business owners who they've adjusted their services to accommodate more of the online customers. And they're doing better now than they were before. Yeah. Because, I mean, their destination is the same. Their financial goal is the same. They just adjusted the path to get there. And that's the takeaway. So if you remain fixed on the prize and flexible on the path, you can improve your mental health.
No, I think that's great.
Absolutely.
I was really wondering about the whole flight scenario, but then the way you brought that thing together, that here's another opportunity for him to bring in one of his fraternity brothers. And do I really believe you got a fraternity brother that's a pilot? No, but I think for the story, it sounds good. But you brought it back, so that was really good, Aaron.
That's it. Honestly, I do. Shout out to Rick Ray.
All right, Rick.
He's an actual pilot. I'm sure he's watching now. Shout out to Rick Ray. He's the pilot. But now,
all right, Rick Ray.
Yeah, it worked out for the story. Yeah,
good stuff. Great story.
So improve. And speaking of this idea of improving your mental health, our guest today, we're in for a treat because she spent her entire career helping people improve their mental health. She has her master's degree in social work, and she's a life coach.
Okay.
She has over 25 years of mental health experience as a psychotherapist. Throughout her professional career, she has had a strong belief in the mind, body, spirit connection. We definitely have to ask her about that whole connection, how it works together. So this belief inspired her to open Flourish Counseling and Wellness Center in November of 2017, and she shifted to coaching. She incorporates her years of mental health experience, energy work, and business ownership to offer her coaching clients the tools and personal support needed to make significant positive changes in their lives. Please join me in welcoming to the 30-Minute Hour podcast, Andrea Lopes.
Hello.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it is an honor to have you on our show, and we definitely need to hear from you today. I mean, there's just a lot going on in the world, and
absolutely
a lot of people struggling with various mental health issues. So we'll get to it. Before we really dig into the meat of this, I did want to hear about your journey. Like, did you always know, like from the time you were a child, that you would become a psychotherapist?
Yes, from when I was very young. So my journey, I've had, when you talked about the path and kind of going off course and having to readjust, I've had to do that throughout my life multiple times. And I think most people that go into helping professions, a lot of times you'll look back and see they've had a lot of difficulties they've had to overcome. So for me, very young, experiencing traumas, losing my mother very young, and some other things, I was always that person who was a very good listener, who had a lot of empathy, and who I just would be that person that people would come to. I always had this desire to help in some way. And beginning probably starting in high school, I really had this idea that I wanted to become a therapist. So I went into social work and worked, went to grad school, worked for an emergency room for many years doing crisis work. So they're being exposed to so many different people, populations, different diagnoses, different issues, and then started a private practice and really worked primarily with adults and adolescents with a lot of anxiety, depression, trauma, and most recently opening Flourish and transitioning more to coaching and mind-body work techniques.
Yeah, that's interesting. Did you find that like a lot of people when you were coming up, they just start telling you their problems?
Yeah. People would laugh. They'd be like, Andrea's the one at a party in the corner with the person who just got broken up with or whatever. Like I was always that person.
Wow.
My empathy was, it was until I really learned what to do with it. It's almost painful because an empath, a true empath, really struggles. Like I couldn't watch things on people suffering because I would feel it. So it was really difficult. I had to really work on being able to protect myself from feeling so much. I didn't really know what it was.
Yeah, I think that's important because a lot of time when people are looking to figure out what they want to do, that's a sign. You have to pay attention to the things that people come to you for.
Yes. What are your gifts?
Yeah. And it's funny because like there was a time like I'd be out at the Verizon store and then the guy's like, I'm thinking of starting this business and what do you think I should do? Should I bring on a partner? I'm like, why are you at? But that would happen a lot, But so I think that can be a sign with the things that people are coming to you for.
Oh, absolutely. Well, it's our energy too. Yeah. We're open to it. You're open to that. And when somebody says it, you latch onto it because it excites you.
Right.
People feel that, oh, he gets me.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And so like if you could hop into your DeLorean time machine and go back to your 19-year-old self, knowing what you know now, what advice would you give yourself?
It's so easy. And I would give this to anybody. Boundaries, knowing your boundaries, understanding that there are limits to what you can do for people without, so boundaries, understanding and knowing how to say no and when to say no, knowing when there are toxic relationships in your life. And the other thing I would say is, what the hell were you so insecure about? Where was your confidence? Why were you so insecure? It's like now, in my 50s, it's like, what was I so insecure about? So, I had to go through that. But yeah, boundaries I would have told myself, say no, say no. It's okay. It's okay if you say no. It's okay if someone doesn't like you if you say no. It's okay. But stop killing yourself for everybody and everything except for yourself. That's what I would say.
It's interesting. So you bring up this thing of confidence, because I think that's something a lot of people struggle with.
Yeah.
What are some steps that people can take if somebody is struggling with their confidence, is watching this right now? What are some basic things? What are some steps they can take to become more?
I think one of the main things, the ways to build self-esteem and confidence is to accomplish things, like to do things, because we feel good about what we do. We should feel good just in and of ourselves because we are worthy of love and belonging no matter what. But there are a few things. One is really find some things that you enjoy, do them. Find your gifts. Let yourself flourish with them. Stop being afraid. Surround yourself with people that appreciate you, and get to know who you really are, and treat yourself like you treat the other people you love and care for. It's a big, big topic, but one of the biggest things I find is that when people accomplish things, that's when they feel confidence. And it could be something little to start with, but we all feel good when we accomplish. and we produce something, right?
That's interesting. I think a lot of times people have the challenges with confidence because they give the power to others
Absolutely.
to make them feel good about themselves, right? And it's like, like you said, I think that's great. If you accomplish some things that you choose to accomplish, you can say, hey, I don't need that validation from someone else.
Right.
I can pat myself on the back and say, hey, you know what, you're a pretty big deal to yourself.
Absolutely.
And I think that is so important because I don't know anyone who's playing at a high level that's not confident. Right? I mean, even we go back to what we were watching on the show. You look at Michael Jordan and these guys. I mean, they're supremely confident. I mean, they look across at whoever's guarding them. They don't care who it is. They're like, oh no, you can't stop me.
That's because I mean, he's amazing. And I started watching that, but I didn't finish the series. My husband was watching it. I want to finish watching it, but to have that kind of mindset is just, it takes, and I think the whole using mind, body, visualization, feeling yourself with the confidence, seeing yourself accomplish things, believing it, just really internalizing it.
Yeah.
So it's the chicken or the egg question, right? Does success come before confidence, or does confidence come before success?
I think it really depends, but I think that the thing we have to look at is why, from a clinical perspective or a mental health perspective, if I see somebody and they've had, low self-esteem or all these limiting beliefs, it's like, where did these develop? Where did your sense of self develop from? And we know that most of it developed in our childhoods from 0 through age 7. This is very interesting, and not many people know this, but from the age of birth to 7, the children actually their brain waves are that of as if they're in a hypnotic state. Wow. So from those years, that's why they say they're so important, because all of your interactions, the messages you're getting, it's like you're being hypnotized. So if you have, all of our parents do the best they can, not about blaming, but if you have a parent that comes home every day and was like, why didn't you do that? Can't you do it right? Why? You're a mess, you're stupid, whatever. Those messages are being literally recorded. That's where a lot of people get their financial messages too. If the parents are always arguing about money, we don't have enough money, we don't have, that's where so much of our belief systems are generated in those early years. Wow. So in terms of confidence, yeah, I think a lot of it is there. So it takes some work to delete the old tapes and record some new ones to develop that confidence and success.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'd never heard it referred that way. That's you're almost like you're in a hypnotic state during those first 7 years.
Yeah, there's a lot of research on that. It's very interesting. So I work a lot on those tapes and mind body ways to delete them, to erase them.
Wow. Okay. So I know when we introduced you, we mentioned this whole connection between the mind, the body, and the spirit, and you got a strong belief in that. Can you talk about that?
Yes. So, for my years of doing therapy, talk therapy, people would often say, I get what you're saying cognitively, but I just can't integrate it. I still feel this pain in my heart, or this anger, or this whatever. So over the years, I started, incorporating some different techniques, meditation, the breathing, guided imagery. Then I started learning a technique called tapping, where you're actually releasing the cortisol and adrenaline in your body that's associated with a particular event. So I started finding that the more that I incorporated the mind and body, that people were able to release things that they were stuck on, and they were able to integrate these new ideas, these new thoughts into their life quicker. And I'm a strong proponent of nutrition. We know now how how much of an impact that has on mental health, because most of our neurotransmitters are in our gut, which people don't realize, not in our brain. So if you
Wow.
have poor gut health, you're going to have foggy brain, you're going to have depression, you're going to have anxiety. So at Flourish, we incorporate all of those techniques. We have nutrition, we have acupuncture, we have yoga, we have all of these different techniques. And when I'm looking at someone, I'm really looking at their overall mind, body, spirit, wellness, and health.
Interesting. And so having a plant-based diet, for example, can lessen the chances of becoming depressed, basically.
Well, it really depends. Like, people are different. Like, some people have gluten intolerance, and we found just eliminating gluten that they were having these reactions to it that was causing depression. Dairy, we know there's certain inflammatory, I'm not the nutritionist, but yeah, absolutely. We have found that to be very significant in improving people's mental health. And also, like I said, we all know, I'm sure that if I asked you all, if you could remember an experience from your childhood that had a very big impact on you in a negative way. I'm sure you can remember it and sit and maybe possibly still feel it in your body if you really close your eyes and let yourself experience it. Or even from your adult life, a trauma, a car accident. So if it's stuck in your body still, do you know what I mean by that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
So if we can release that and get that out of your body, so that when you think about the event, you remember it, but the intensity, the feeling, the physiological arousal is not there anymore.
Wow.
That's how we get through these things. That's how we move on, and we're able to just let it go and not let it affect our daily life.
So when you talk about the mind, body, and spirit connection, and this is something I found to be true, certainly love to hear your input. Sometimes when you're making a decision, your body can tell you if it's the right or wrong. Sometimes you think, okay, I'm going to do this. If there's this feeling in your body, it's like,
Yes.
And for me, I can tell you, for me, that feeling has been right 100% of the time my entire life.
Is it your gut feeling?
It's like a gut feeling.
And you know why? And we have your gut feeling is right, because our neurotransmitters, like 80 whatever % of them, are in our gut. So it's true. That's why when we get anxious, we feel it in our gut. When you get that feeling like, I'm going to do this, but something's telling me this isn't right.
Right. And anytime if I went and tried to do it anyway, it just never worked out well.
Your heart too. Your heart will tell you.
Yep.
Yeah, our heart sends more messages to our brain than our brain sends to our heart. Yep.
Okay. So you made this shift. You went from being a psychotherapist, and you made this shift to coaching. So first off, what do you see as the differences between the psychotherapy and the coaching?
Well, with the psychotherapy, you're dealing with a diagnosis. So you're dealing with oftentimes, something that somebody's coming in for that is interfering with their ability to function in life: anxiety, depression, trauma, bipolar disorder, whatever. And so you're spending a lot of times working on those symptoms to help them alleviate the symptoms and to go back in the past to figure out where they're from and all of that. With coaching, you're dealing more with somebody who's coming for a particular goal. They may not have, typically, if they do have some kind of diagnosis, they should be in therapy too. But a lot of times they don't. They're just feeling unhappy because they're not fulfilled. So it's more of a proactive, more of, with coaching, we believe that the client has all the answers, and you're just there as helping them find them and helping them. As a coach, that too. So I really found that over the years, I had the ability to help people discover their gifts and give them that empower them to really use them and get to that next place where they want to be, find that path that they want to be on. So I love doing that. I love working with people in that way.
So describe your typical client, and what are some of the common things you help coach them through?
Well, typically my clients are female, and typically in midlife. That doesn't mean I love working with young women as well when they're just starting off, but I'm working with women on either career changes, or I work with a lot of female also healing professionals and helping them start their own businesses. Working with women that are in life transition, maybe getting divorced, maybe their kids are leaving, so wanting to just find out what that next step is. Many of the limiting beliefs that I see are things like I'm too old, I don't have enough money, I'm not smart enough, I'm not good enough. You know, that those are the types of beliefs that we see a lot, and you know, kind of going back and figuring out where they came from and how we can let them go, and how we can discover those treasures that they've been hiding that have been hidden. So
I got to find the hidden treasures. So
yeah.
we're here, we're talking to Andrea Lopes. This is the 30-minute hour podcast. It's not your everyday podcast. We're broadcasting live from this Facebook page. Those of you that are watching this, again, feel free to like, feel free to put in your comments, put in your questions. Ted, was anything you wanted to get in before we kept it moving?
Yeah, so Andrea, just thinking about everything that's going on right now, right? Like something that really our listeners, viewers are dealing with right now, just feelings of anxiety, you know, just the challenges of just kind of, you know, what's next, and just,
right.
I mean, I'm sure everyone is kind of, so your friends are probably like, oh, you know, what's going on? When is my world going to be open back up again? How do I deal with homeschooling? Just all of this. I feel like the walls are closing in on me. Just if you can share anything, because I'm just sure so many, you know, it's funny. You know, one of the things that I'm kind of tired of hearing the commercials that say we're all in this together. Like,
we're not.
I'm like, okay, that's just the cliche. We're all in this together. I mean, okay, but each of us are dealing with it, some different challenges.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So whatever you can.
I would say a few things. Number one, I do want to emphasize that we may be in this situation together, but everybody's affected differently. And a few general things I would say is limit your exposure to the media and news, because it just, the more what we think about affects how we feel, and then how we feel affects how we perform and behave. So if we are constantly feeding ourselves with negativity and fear, that's what we're going to feel. And when we're in that fear and negative state, we can't perform. We cannot be our best selves. So yes, we need to be educated. We need to know what's going on, but to fill our brain all day long with that, no. The other thing I would do is every morning, take some time to set an intention, to meditate, take a little bit of time to say, you know what, this is what I want to accomplish today. This is how I want to feel. And keep checking in with yourself throughout the day. That intention that I set this morning, whether it's I'm going to be more patient, or I'm going to get something that I want done specifically, just check in with yourself. So limiting your exposure, setting intentions, meditating, reaching out, and really, I mean, every Wednesday, if anybody's welcome, I have a Zoom call calling Mindful Discussions During Difficult Times for people who want to jump on, and we do a nice meditation, and we do question and answers and support for anybody who's struggling. And that can all be found on my website.
So this includes the guys too, because I heard you say that you're kind of working with the ladies.
Well, my coaching, remember, I own the Counseling and Wellness Center, and I have my coaching business, but no, I have 10 psychotherapists that work for me. I have nurse practitioners. So I have a lot of support for every age, sex, everything.
Okay,
so men
Eric,
are absolutely welcome.
So Eric, we'll have to do it together. I don't want to be by myself on there.
Come on, yeah.
I'm feeling like I'm in a all women Zumba class, looking around at all the boxes. So I need to. Yeah. Oh, I got one other guy in it.
Yeah, Ted, I'm glad you asked. I go, you know, so Andrew, I'm asking for a friend. You know, do you allow? Asked, you know.
No, I love working with men too. They're great to work with. Absolutely.
So on that, what do you feel are the biggest differences in working with men and women when it comes to the things that you
I
do?
think it's the whole shame thing.
Mm,
Well, shame is big for everybody. It's the most toxic thing we can feel. It's shame and guilt. There's a very big difference. Guilt is I did
yeah.
something wrong. Shame is I'm wrong. I'm not good. And I think
Mm,
men feel shame about being vulnerable and reaching out. They feel like
mm,
you're not socialized to believe it's okay. And I think it's gotten better, but
mm,
there's still a big stigma. And I think that's what I have found when I've seen men in therapy all those years was, you know, they never felt like it was okay to be vulnerable, to be open, to cry, to admit that they are sad or whatever they're feeling,
mm.
scared. So that's the biggest thing. I think there's shame associated with feeling vulnerable and feeling like you need support.
Wow.
So,
You guys
yeah,
are men, you could probably tell me, but that's what I've heard and that's what I've
No,
seen. And
I
that's
can definitely understand that because it's not like I call Eric to really pour out what I'm feeling, right?
right.
Whereas, where ladies probably are more prone to just being able to share and express that with their friends. I mean, Eric is just like, get over it, man.
Yeah.
I'm like, but Eric, I'm trying to tell you, man, what I'm
Yeah.
going through. He's like, yeah, man, come on,
Eric,
man.
next time he calls you, you better listen to him.
That's right.
I need to be
Eric.
more empathetic. I understand.
Yeah.
That's right, man. I'm trying to be vulnerable, man.
All right.
Men, they love and they care. It's that you want to solve it. You want to say
That's
this
right.
is because that's just what you've been shown, right?
Yeah,
I'll
yeah.
tell you what to do and you won't feel bad anymore.
I was watching this lady that was on television the other day, and I guess they were talking about some of the feelings in the restaurant industry, and people, are just really stressed because they're not able to get the tips, and not, they really
Yeah.
dependent on that. And this one person, I think, may have been suicidal, and this one lady was just like, like it's okay to not be okay, was what she
Yeah.
said, right? Like, and I think that just was really powerful, right? That if you're not okay, it's okay, because you always feel like, I guess, people are like, "How you doing?" You're like, "I'm fine."
Hmm.
But there should be someone that you can say, "Mom, I'm
I'm
really
really
not,
not.
really not fine." Yeah.
This is really important because we have someone that's watching us now, possibly, that's suffering in silence because
Yeah.
they don't feel like it's okay. I mean, can you please summarize, Andrea, what steps should they take if they're not feeling okay? I mean,
Yes.
what steps should they take to improve their mental health and get the help they need?
Well, they need to get help, and there's so much support out there right now. On my website too, I have a list of resources and links to all the different like hotlines and mental
Mm.
health places. But to start, find somebody that you trust, talk to them, because if you feel like you're not clear and you can't make a decision, go to a family member. I always say start with your primary care doctor. Make sure there's nothing. The other thing I always say is make sure there's nothing physically wrong with you that could be leading to the depression. We know that thyroid issues, there are a lot of things that can lead someone to have anxiety, panic attacks, depression. So we always want to rule out something medical, but go to somebody that you trust, ask for help, go to your primary care doctor if you don't know anything to do. And my website, like I said, we've got lots of resources. There's so much help out there. There's no reason why people can't get help now, but you have to be open. You have to be willing to be vulnerable and say, I need help. Please help me. Because a lot of times when you're depressed and anxious, you're not able to concentrate and focus and think clearly. You don't know where to start. So go to somebody that you can, if not, that you trust, if not, go to your doctor, whoever.
No.
And the other things, so what warning signs should we be looking for? Because I mean, I know of situations where people have committed suicide and everybody was blindsided. And so I think this is a critical thing too, because we all, like Ted said, we all say, "Oh, I'm good. Yeah, everything's great."
Right.
So what warning signs should we all be looking out for with our friends, especially during this time, that they may not be okay?
Well, and it's hard because we're not seeing people, but you want to look for things like drastic changes in people's behaviors. Like, is it somebody that talk to you all the time and that all of a
Mm.
sudden is not returning calls? They're not joining in on your chats or whatever. Like, they're just isolating. Is somebody becoming, a lot of times we see anger and irritability. You'll see someone snapping when they're not normally like that. If you're with them, you can see signs, you can tell. Do they have a flat affect, meaning they just don't have the expression on their face that they normally have? They look sad. They may be, sometimes people feel sick when they're depressed. It is, you can just see it. Are they sleeping more or not sleeping at all? Are they overeating or not eating at all? So there are a lot of things, but social withdrawal, that anger, irritability, the anxiety part, so those are all things that you want to look at. And the withdrawal part is the scary part, like when people really start to withdraw and isolate. You want to just even if you can just let people know, hey, I'm here. I notice. I'm here if you want to talk. People need to know that people recognize that there's something going on and that you care, even if you don't know what to do. Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely.
I used to have teens say that my parents don't even know what's going, they don't, so I tell parents, even if they say they don't want to talk to you, just say, I love you and I notice. And I'm here.
So I would imagine, go ahead, Ted.
No, I think that's very important for someone to know that you notice and that you're there for them. And I think a lot of times when we see people going through things, whether it's grief, loss, whatever that they're dealing with, we want to say the right thing. And sometimes the desire to say the right thing, we say the wrong thing.
Yes.
Right. Sometimes it's just letting them know that we're here, we care for you, and just know that you're not in this alone. And I may not have a solution, but I'm, just know I'm here for you. And I think that means.
And it's always better to say the wrong thing than to say nothing at all. To take the risk of saying the wrong thing than to ignore, because people feel like everybody knows that everybody's been in a situation where they've had to try to comfort someone that has gone through something. We know it's not easy. We know not everybody knows the right thing, but it's better to show that you're concerned and that and that you're not just ignoring them because it's uncomfortable. It's better to say the wrong thing than nothing at all.
Better to say the wrong thing than nothing at all. That's great advice.
The worst thing is to feel like, gosh, nobody even wants to come near me anymore because of this happened,
Yeah.
Or they think that something's seriously wrong with me, so nobody wants to talk to me. That's the worst part.
Okay.
Wow.
So if you don't know what to say, just say, hey, I really care and I really don't know what to say, but I'm here. That's better than saying nothing.
Yeah, no, that would go a long way. I was a little concerned because I have some friends that often say the wrong thing, and I'm like, oh no, I don't want that.
I know.
Their wrong thing might be really, really the wrong thing. But to say, hey, I'm here for you and I care, and I'm saying something, I definitely can, see the value.
Well, I guess I'm just, when you say the really wrong thing, I'm just giving some people the benefit of the doubt that they may just say something that's not that great. But if you'll know it's not going to be a horrible thing to say. But
no, definitely understand.
Yeah, I think in most cases it's the cliche that people.
It's just the cliches that really aren't.
Yeah, they don't give you much. The
worst thing to say is when somebody is passed on, to say, well, they're in a better place. I mean, you don't want to say,
no.
You want to say, this is so hard. I really care. I'm here.
Right. And a lot of times I think before you say something, if you think about how you would respond if it was said to you in a similar situation, I think then you can, you may, have a little more empathy in how you respond.
Absolutely.
And I'd say, like, for me, the times I've been with someone that's grieving, just talking about normal things, it seemed like it helped them.
Mhm.
We
Yes.
just start talking. They may start talking about something that came on TV or this and that. Just being there and having someone to talk to, not just that you're trying to solve their problem or make them feel better.
Hmm.
So I think that's important. But the bottom line, I think we just need to be proactive, and we need to just be checking on people.
Yeah, like if you have somebody and instead of taking it personally, wow, they're never calling me back. That person hasn't called me back. Just check in with them, say, hey, I've noticed you haven't called back. Is everything okay? I'm here. If you don't want to talk, that's fine. I just want you to know I'm here. Things like that, because sometimes
Andre,
people need time.
Andre, earlier we were talking before the show, and you mentioned something around this current situation and how people are dealing with it, and I guess kind of that kind of comparison to grief, right? I thought that was
Yes.
a really good point. I think our listeners really could value.
Yeah, so yeah, what I found as actually the reason I thought about this is because one day I woke up and I said, wow, I'm feeling something, but I don't know what it is. And I'm very in touch with my feelings. And I quickly realized I know what I'm feeling. I'm feeling grief. I miss my life. I miss going to Flourish every day. I miss my clients, seeing them at the center. I mean, I had just opened November 2017, and I was just at the point where I was starting to bustle with activity. I have a lot more therapists. I had massage, acupuncture, all these things. And I was like, I'm grieving this. I'm sad. I'm grieving this whole big change that I didn't want. And so I realized grief is change that we don't want. So whenever we lose somebody, it's a change. It's something that we don't want to happen. And so this is something that many people don't want to happen. Not being able to see their friends, kids not being able to finish their senior year in high school, there's so many losses that are going on right now. And the one thing that heals grief is support and connection. And we don't even have that. So, I mean, I've had people that have lost family members, they can't even have a funeral. It's so grief. So I would really encourage people to really, allow yourself to get in touch with it. It's okay to grieve. It's okay to feel these things. They are important losses, and we don't have to minimize them. It is important to a high school kid that they can't go to their prom.
Yeah.
It is important to a kid that can't finish his can't start his last baseball season, or somebody who's lost their job, who loved their job and it's gone. That's a loss. And I don't think we even realize yet how much this is going to impact all of us, and that we need to be prepared. And the earlier people are able to identify this and deal with it, the better off we'll all be.
I thought that's powerful.
Yeah, very powerful. And as you mentioned earlier, Andrea, that we all are dealing with this so differently.
Yes.
Like I had a friend say to me not long ago, I'm feeling anxious. Do you feel anxious?
Mm-hmm.
And for me, a person, I'm always running, right? Like nonstop. Like I'm the person that doesn't take much of a vacation.
Mm-hmm.
I'm constantly running. So for me, being able to slow down has been something that's like, I feel good not having to go to the dry cleaner and get a bunch of shirts done. I'm okay with not having to go fill up gas 3-4 times a week and drive around the Beltway in traffic and all of that. So am I anxious? What am I anxious? I'm anxious about when the switch is flipped to go back.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah, I'm kind of anxious there. What is that going to be like? Like, do I go back into that same role? Am I going into that role with the mask on now? Am I, do I have to have Lysol in the car all the time throughout the day?
Yes.
Like sanitizer has become a thing that, I always kind of had it, but now it's kind of I do it so much I can taste it now, right? Like anxious is what
I
that's going to
think
be.
that's such a good point. We're all feeling it differently. I too am a very busy person and I've been enjoying part of this. I mean, both, like one day I'll be like, God, I miss being there. And then the next day I'm like, I'm so glad I have this time.
Right.
And then there are lots of introverts that are like, this is the best. I'm so happy. I don't have to say no to going out on the weekend. Like there are
Right.
people that are like, this is heaven.
Derek and I know someone like that, don't we?
Yes, we do.
It's
So,
funny.
so it's different for everybody. It really is. But I think in some ways it's going to affect everybody. And so, if it continues on, you know, so people need to, that's why I started this weekly Zoom call for people, for, our center, and I've opened up to anyone else, but just for people to process it and talk about it.
Any thoughts on how, as there's some transition to maybe coming up with the new norm, any thoughts on how to maybe ease into that? Because I think people think that they're going to just run, they're going to go meet with their friends, they're going to hang out, and everything's going to be the same. I'm like,
well, there's going to be different, like we have a lot of clients that have obsessive compulsive disorder.
Mm.
So, the joke is we've been practicing for this our whole lives, because they're like,
right.
you know what I mean? Like
I'm always cleaning.
they're always been feeling like this.
Yeah.
But now it's like, you can't even tell them that their fears are irrational, because, they're not that irrational anymore. So there are going to be some people that are going to have a really hard time transitioning back. There's going to be a lot of fear there. What I'm afraid of too with kids is, whenever kids, oftentimes kids, even just the transition from summer to the fall, going back to school, a lot of kids have school anxiety. And so I think that there are going to be some people who are just going to run in and just do everything without caution. There are going to be some people who are going to be absolutely terrified, and it's going to be a gradually desensitizing them to getting back out into the world. And then they're going to be hopefully those middle people where we're going to take the precautions necessary and do things mindfully. And I think whatever the government, whatever the state puts in place is going to be what we're going to have to follow. And hopefully, I know for my center, I'm going to have a lot of precautions in place, trying to have less people in the waiting room, spacing between appointments, things like that, making sure I've got sanitizer everywhere, cleaning behind everybody. So.
Wow.
I thought it was interesting when you, Andrea, you said yourself that you felt grief during this pandemic.
Oh, yes.
I mean, that just speaks to that it's okay, not to feel okay. I mean, you're the professional, you've got all the tools, you work with people all the time on this, and it's impacting you.
And I started having all the limiting beliefs. Oh my gosh, I did all this work to open this wellness center, and now it's down the drain and nobody's going to come back. And what am I going to do? And then I'm like, wait a minute, what are you doing here, girl? I have to halt. And you know how it is. We can practice this stuff forever, but you still will sometimes slip back.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Definitely.
Okay. So what else do you have? What upcoming projects? What's next on the horizon for you?
So I actually have on, what's the date? I'm doing a free introduction on May 12th at 6, Zoom introduction to a program that I'm starting, which is Rise Together. And it's a program based on this Pathfinders program to help people explore, anybody who's looking to make a change, that wants to make a significant change in their life. The program, so I'm doing a free webinar on it on May 12th to kind of introduce people to it, talk about how to make inspired change in their life. And then from there, have a group program for it. So that's the main thing I have coming up now. Every Wednesday at 12 noon, I do that mindful conversation for difficult times. And typically at Flourish, we have lots of workshops going on. Obviously we've had to stop those for now, but.
Okay. And then what's the best way for people to connect with you? Like give everybody your website and all that good stuff.
Well, my website is flourishcounselingandwellness.com is my Flourish website. I also have ALOPES at alopescoaching.com. Our phone number, everything's on the website. Is that the best? That's probably the best way is to get on the website. You can complete a contact form or my email's on there, everything. So alopescoaching.com and flourishcounselingandwellness.com. So.
Fantastic. All right, so I mean, we're about to go around the horn. This is the part of the show where we each leave a closing thought for the people. Andrea, what is your closing thought you wanted to leave?
Be kind and compassionate to yourself and to others, and use this time to go within and see, how do I want to come out of this? What do I want? I like to look at any crisis in my life or any difficult time as, how am I going to grow? How am I going to learn? What am I going to learn? And how am I going to evolve from this? So take some time and do that. That's why I'm doing this program too, because this is a time, if you can, to go through a coaching program, to get support, to make changes. So take this time to do that and be kind and compassionate to yourself and others. Everybody, for the most part, is doing the best they can.
Excellent. Okay, Ted?
This has just been great. I just feel like Andrea, I just cash app you some money because you just helped me just with this whole session. I mean, I'm getting all this for free. It's great. I mean, just everything that you said, the whole grief is change we don't want. That is just like powerful, right? Because we always were thinking grief is a certain type of loss, but just the loss of just some freedoms that we had, right? Like, you know, like I've heard some people that have said, yeah, what do I miss? Like, I just miss just getting with a group of people and just having a dinner. Like someone I saw put something on Facebook where they said, I just miss someone coming up to me and saying, can I take your order? like, you know, things that to us, we always just, it's something we've always had, right? We've always had. And, you know, and I think about like my mom is 91, right? And so she can't get around like she used to, right? Like in a car, like I remember getting in the car and going where she wants. Okay, now she goes, if I take her someplace. Right?
That's a loss for her.
Like now the things that she could do on her own, she can't. So it's like so for me, I'm like, oh, I can't run around as much. She's like, well, I haven't been running around for 10 years, you know? And so
you're realizing that your mom had a lot of losses that she's had to process and deal with. Aging is filled with them.
And so when I'm there and it's kind of like, okay, I'm about to leave. Oh, don't you want to stay and move back in? Well, no, I don't necessarily want to move back in, but I can understand because you enjoy me being there. And so for us now, it's just we're dealing with, you know, the feelings of isolation and not being able to, you know, interact like we're used to doing. And like you said, there's a grief for that. Like we're like, okay, we want that back. Whatever that is, it's got to be better than what we're dealing with. Right. You know. So yeah, but thank you so much. And so I'll get your Cash App later. And, you know, send you a little something.
Okay. No need. I love to talk about this forever. All of this.
Thank you.
Yeah, and that's a great point, Ted. So my closing thought is we've been kind of talking at points of the show about, you know, finding the opportunity, finding the good. I mean, like Ted mentioned, my dry cleaning bill has come down. You know, I'm not just driving around, and I just think about myself. Like I'm so focused on opportunities, and I get to this thing where I'm thinking, man, I'm missing out on this. I could be doing this. I could be going out and speaking to this big group. But I bet you, like, I'm gonna look back and say, you know what? That really was a good time in my life.
Right.
you know what? Because like sometimes, for example, like my son is 6 years old. He'll just come in the room
Aw,
and hug me, for no reason. Hey, Dad, I'm
Yeah.
just saying hi, Daddy.
yep,
And I'm like, normally this would never happen. He'd be at school
Right.
somewhere, and
Yeah.
those little things like that, you're forced to be with the people you care about.
absolutely.
So I just think for me, the takeaway is you have to find the good. Everybody has good that's come out of this situation,
Yeah.
and
But
really think about that.
that's wonderful. I'm glad you mentioned that. I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just being able to put pause on things just for a minute. I mean, I was looking at the NFL draft the other day, and they did it all on Zoom, right? So it's really interesting. And you see all these coaches and general managers that you hear about their stories about these folks that they sleep in the offices, and they're working around the clock. And you see them making picks, and their kid is on the couch with shoes off, and people running around. And it's kind of like, okay, this is like, you just see more of what everything is, life is really
Yeah.
about, and just not the run, run, run. And I think that everyone, should come out of this situation different, right? Like, you should come out of this different and understanding what's really important in
Mhm.
this. And, do I need to run to every meeting? Do I need to be at every event? Do I have to do every single thing? No, I really don't. Because for the past 2 months, I told you I just ironed this shirt. I haven't ironed in I did this only for you, Andrea. That
Thank
I
you.
ironed a shirt.
And I wouldn't
Probably
have
may not
cared. My
be-
light's not on. I wouldn't have cared, but it looks great.
Thank you so much. Thank you. So Eric,
Yes.
the salmon shirt, Eric, the next time.
I gotta keep that in
this
mind.
you. That's right.
I don't think I own a salmon shirt. I'll have to work around that. Maybe order one, have one shipped in for special episodes like this one.
That's right.
Yeah, but this has been awesome. I know we've helped quite a few people. And again, just before we sign off, please, Andrew, one more time, please throw your website out there.
Yes.
Someone who might just have joined us. Go ahead.
Yes. flourishcounselingandwellness.com and alopescoaching.com. And would love to support anybody at Flourish. We have lots of services. Anybody that's struggling, I've got resources on my website. Our number is 301-570-4050 too, if you need to call.
No, that's
Would love
awesome.
to
great.
provide.
We'd love to have you back. Yeah,
Well, I would love to come back. I enjoyed talking to you both.
Absolutely.
And next time, let me know what the sports topic is, and I'll be prepared.
You'll be prepared. All right. Absolutely. That's
All
great.
right. Well, yeah, this has been an awesome episode of the 30-Minute Hour podcast. It's not your everyday podcast. Once again, you can go to our website, the30minutehour.net, and catch all the past episodes. It gets uploaded to your favorite podcasting app. You can listen to us, or you can watch us live every week. And don't forget, on Wednesdays at 6 o'clock, we've got the 30-Minute Hour live on lockdown. And this week, we hope to be technology issue free. We'll be coming at you live on Wednesday at 6 o'clock. It's the lighter side of the lockdown. You've seen the previous episodes. We have comedy, we have singing, we've got nutritionists, we've got all kinds of entertainment to help you to offset the barrage of negative news that we can tend to take in. So that's our show for this week. And until next time, have a great one.
Bye-bye.